In this video, we will be demonstrating how to attach your inkjet printer to your bottomless conveyor. An inkjet printer can be used in conjunction with a bottomless conveyor to print on the bottom or sides of containers traveling down your packaging line. You will be provided with one 3mm and one 5mm hex key to help with this process. We must first prepare the printer clamp, an attachment included with your order. Find the 3 printer rod mounts included with your inkjet printer as shown here. If you compare the 3 mounts side by side, you will notice that one of them has larger holes in its base. We need to attach the rod mount with the larger holes to our printer clamp using the included screws and 5mm hex key, as shown here. The other 2 rod mounts should be mounted to your printer and console using the remaining 4 screws. Tighten each mount using the provided 3mm hex key. If you wish to avoid scratching when attaching your printer clamp to your conveyor, now is the time to attach the optional anti-6 padding to the inside of your clamp. Carefully press the large rectangle of anti-6 to the 2 metal prongs on the top side of the clamp. Press the small square of anti-6 to the clamp foot threaded onto the end of the clamping rod. You are now free to attach your printer clamp to your bottomless conveyor at the point where you would like to do your printing. We recommend mounting it on the opposite end from the motors so you have more room to work with. Make sure to tighten the knob to secure the clamp in place. Next, thread one of the mounting rods through the hole in the rod mount that is attached to the clamp. Slide it far enough so that the bottom of the rod sits below the clamp adjustment knob. Tighten the set screw in the rod mount using the provided hex key to lock the rod in place. Thread a rod joint, shown here, onto the upper end of the mounted rod. Make sure it is perpendicular to the conveyor. Tighten the top joint set screw with the hex key to lock it in place. Thread a second rod joint onto the bottom end of the mounted rod. Tighten the set screw to lock it in place so it is parallel to the conveyor. Thread the other 2 mounting rods through these rod joints and tighten the joint set screws to lock them in place using the hex key. These are the rods our console and printer will be mounted to. Mount the console at a comfortable place on the higher rod running parallel above the conveyor. Tighten the set screw on the rod mount using the hex key to lock it in place. Before moving forward, we recommend placing a container within your bottomless conveyor at the point where printing will take place. This container will act as a marker for when you attach and align your printer and sensor. Mount the sensor on the rod so that it will point up towards the belt. Tighten the set screw on the sensor bracket with the 5mm hex key. Mount and point the printer at the spot where you would like the labeling to take place. In this example, we are pointing it at the bottom of the container we previously placed. Make the necessary adjustments before tightening the printer mount set screw using the hex key to lock the printer in place. The sensor is attached to a flexible gooseneck arm. Position the gooseneck so that the sensor will spot a container as it enters the labeling area. It should be positioned just upstream of the printer. The gooseneck will naturally remain in this shape. The sensor should be plugged into the top port on the right side of the console, shown here. Insert the sensor cord carefully before tightening the threaded barrel connector to lock it in place. Insert the power cord into the bottom port using the same method as the sensor cord. Plug the power cord into a properly grounded electrical outlet to introduce power to the printer. Due to the nature of the printer mounting system, it is highly adjustable. Every container is different and may require a different printer setup. Feel free to make changes to this layout we've demonstrated until your printer is configured to meet your needs.